What do you think is the scariest place on Earth? For me, it's got to be tight spaces. Being surrounded by all that pressure can make anyone feel uneasy, claustrophobic. Well, if that's the case for you, try not to go in elevators or subway tunnels. Try to stay away from small rooms, too. It'll be tough. But for our protagonist, Jonas, that's impossible. Because for him, this isn't just a phobia. It's a nightmare. From a young age, Jonas had always been terrified of tight spaces. Elevators, tunnels, even tight clothes triggered panic. But one time, when he was just 7 years old, he got trapped in a toy chest for nearly an hour. Ever since then, pressure meant trauma. Years later, Jonas is now an adult. He tried therapy, but the feeling of invisible suffocation never went away. To cope, he lived his life avoiding triggers. But it wasn't easy, especially in a big city. One day, Jonas was on a business trip, and he stayed in a downtown hotel. On the first night, returning from dinner, he decided to use the elevator. When the doors closed, the lights flickered. He didn't like that. The elevator was stuck between floors. He pressed the emergency button, but no one answered. Trying to keep calm, he started breathing slowly, counting to 10. But the ceiling seemed lower than usual. The walls were closer. Jonas tried to break through them, pushing and clawing, but they wouldn't budge. Panic surged through him. He screamed, but there was no response. Then he noticed something. Above him, the air vent was slightly open. Desperate for air, Jonas climbed up, balancing on the elevator's metal frame. He managed to wedge his upper body through the opening. Inside the shaft, the air was stale and thick, but it was enough for Jonas to breathe. Suddenly he felt something wet. The hands, tiny, pale hands, grabbed his face and pulled with surprising strength. Fear jolted him. He fell back into the elevator, gasping for breath. The hands disappeared. Jonas looked up but couldn't see anything in the darkness above. Just before the doors opened, he caught a whisper. "It gets tighter in here." The doors slid open and Jonas stumbled out, almost losing his balance. The interior of the elevator was no longer the sleek, modern space he remembered. Now it looked different, old, rusty. Findus covered everything in a thick layer of black. But what truly shocked Jonas was behind him. Where the mirror should have been, there was nothing. Just a dent in the steel wall, as if someone had been pounding from the inside. Jonas took the stairs to his room, but every floor looked the same. Same hallway, same door, same worn carpet. A sense of dread washed over him. Then he felt it again. The ceiling, now just inches above his head, touching the top of his head. In the morning, hotel maintenance checked the elevator and found it working fine. But they also discovered an old phone in the corner. Jonas never forgot that terrifying experience. Years later, the memory still haunted him. He never used elevators again. But recently, Jonas started having strange dreams about that fateful night. Each dream ended with the ceiling pressing down on him, crushing him. He tried to ignore it, thinking it was just stress. But the dreams became more vivid. In the last one, he was trapped in the elevator again. But this time something was different. He was recording with his phone. The screen showed the familiar metallic interior, but there was no reflection of himself. Behind him, he could hear whispering voices getting closer. Jonas turned around, but there was no one there. The only sound was the hum of the elevator and his own breathing. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. Suddenly, the elevator jolted to a halt between floors. The lights flickered ominously. Jonas fumbled with the emergency button. It was out of order. He started to panic, his breathing quickening. The whispering grew louder. He felt a cold draft and saw the hands again, reaching out from the walls. "It gets tighter in here," they whispered, their voices like nails on a chalkboard. As the hands closed in, Jonas crawled away, desperate to escape. The camera fell to the floor, but he didn't care. He lunged for the air vent, wriggling through the narrow opening. The air inside the shaft was suffocating, but it was his only chance. Jonas forced himself through, ignoring the scratches and cuts on his arms. Once he was through, Jonas looked back. The elevator doors were wide open, revealing a scene that made his blood run cold. Instead of the expected floor, he saw a dark, dusty shaft. Jonas called out, but his voice echoed back at him. There was no response. Then he saw it, a faint glow at the end of the shaft. Hope surged through him. He stumbled towards it. Suddenly, the ground beneath him gave way. Jonas fell into darkness, the phone slipping from his grasp. He landed hard, pain shooting through his body. When he regained his senses, he realized he was in a small, cramped space. Above him, a single bare bulb cast long shadows on the walls, and right across from him was the phone, lying on its side. Struggling to his feet, Jonas approached the phone. It was an old model, the kind he hadn't seen in years. As he picked it up, he noticed a new message on the screen. It was a video recording. Hesitantly, he clicked play. The screen flickered to life, revealing a terrified Jonas staring back at him. "They're here," Jonas whispered, his voice strained. "They're squeezing me. I can't breathe." The image on the screen began to distort, the edges turning black as if something were consuming it. Then a hand appeared, pale and skeletal, reaching out from the darkness. Jonas screamed, dropping the phone. The image on the screen vanished, replaced by a static-filled abyss. Trembling, Jonas backed away, knocking something over. The clatter echoed in the small space. Outside, he heard a sound that froze him in his tracks, a muffled scratching. It was coming from the wall. Jonas watched in horror as the scratching grew louder. The wall in front of him began to bulge, and then it split open, revealing a gaping hole. From within, he could hear a voice whispering, "Let me out." The voice was raspy and ancient, filled with an otherworldly desperation. Jonas wanted to run, but his legs felt heavy as if leaden chains were holding him down. He tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. Slowly, a figure began to emerge from the hole in the wall. Its skin was a sickly gray, stretched taut over bones that seemed as sharp and prominent. With a Herculean effort, the creature pulled itself free, collapsing onto the floor with a thud. It lay there for a moment, then began to crawl towards Jonas, its eyes fixed on him with an unsettling intensity. Jonas's heart pounded against his ribs as the creature approached. He could feel its gaze boring into him, and he wanted to look away, but he couldn't. He was frozen with terror, unable to move or speak. The creature halted a few feet away from him, and Jonas could see its face now. It was gaunt, with eyes that glowed an eerie red in the dim light. Its mouth was twisted into a grotesque smile, revealing teeth that were too long and far too sharp. With a sudden burst of strength, Jonas broke free of his paralysis. He scrambled back, hitting his head against the wall. Pain flared, but he didn't care. He had to get away from that creature. Adrenaline surged through him, and he found himself sprinting, stumbling over his own feet as he raced towards the hole in the wall. He squeezed through the opening, ignoring the scratches and cuts that tore into his skin. He tumbled onto the floor on the other side and scrambled to his feet, breathless and terrified. He looked back. The hole had vanished, leaving nothing but a smooth wall where it had been. The room was empty except for the phone lying on its side. Shaking, Jonas reached down and picked it up. On the screen, he saw a final message. It wasn't a video this time, but a single sentence typed in shaky letters. "It's not a dream. They are real. And now we're all in here together." Jonas stared at the message, his mind reeling. Was he trapped in some sort of nightmare? Had he gone insane? As if to answer his unspoken question, the floor beneath him gave way. Jonas screamed as he fell, tumbling down into darkness. The phone slipped from his numb fingers and cracked against the concrete. Jonas landed hard, the breath knocked clean out of him. He lay there for a moment, the taste of blood filling his mouth. When he finally sat up, he found himself in a vast, echoing chamber. In the distance, he saw a faint glow. Hope surged through him. Maybe it was a way out. Gathering his strength, Jonas limped towards the light, each step echoing ominously in the vast space. The light led him to a tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, he saw another faint glow. This time it was brighter, accompanied by the hum of electricity. With renewed hope, Jonas hurried towards it. As he approached, the humming grew louder, and he could see the outline of a door. Relief washed over him. He was so close to freedom, but as he reached out to touch the door, a voice echoed through the chamber. "You can't leave. Not yet." Jonas whirled around, searching for the source of the voice, but he was alone. He turned back to the door, but now it was sealed, a solid barrier of metal blocking his path. Jonas pounded on it, his heart sinking as he heard the mocking laughter echoing behind him. There was nowhere to go. He was trapped, and whatever was out there wanted to play with him a little longer. But what does the story mean? Does it have a deeper meaning? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you soon.